South Korea, right after the war, was a wasteland where even hope was a luxury. With a per capita income under $100, it was poorer than most African nations at the time. In this desperate land, Park Chung-hee began a dangerous gamble: economic survival is national survival. The Cold War was turning East Asia into a massive strategic battlefield for superpowers. Park secured the seeds of growth by pulling military and economic aid from the U.S. Normalizing relations with Japan, the national enemy, was a desperate choice of pragmatism over pride. In 1962, a roadmap was designed to change the entire DNA of South Korea. The Economic Planning Board began strictly controlling investment priorities and export targets. It started with light industries like wigs and textiles to earn foreign currency. It was a strategic move that perfectly captured the expansion of global trade. The government risked everything to build infrastructure, the nation's blood vessels. Private dynamism was fused with national goals to drive a long-term growth engine. The construction of the Gyeongbu Expressway began, connecting Seoul to Busan. Protests erupted everywhere, shouting, "Why build a highway when we can't even buy rice?" But Park pushed through with the conviction that industry lives only when logistics flow. The Gyeongbu Expressway became more than a road, it became the heartbeat of industrialization. As logistics efficiency soared, national productivity exploded. Infrastructure became the most powerful weapon for Korean companies on the global stage. With a small domestic market, Korea targeted the global market from the very start. Exporting companies were given massive rewards through tax breaks and incentives. They produced and sold anything that could make money, filling the national treasury. Through cooperation with Japan, they rapidly absorbed advanced technology and capital. The earned foreign currency became the precious fuel to climb into higher-level industries. Korean products gradually began to hold undeniable competitiveness in the world. In the 1970s, Park declared a drive for heavy and chemical industries to change Korea's fate. Shifting to capital and tech-intensive industry was the only path to becoming a developed nation. The world mocked the idea of a penniless nation building a steel mill, calling it madness. The birth of POSCO was a historic moment, giving Korea a world-class manufacturing base. Under full government support, Korea's heavy industry achieved a qualitative revolution. The foundation laid then became the critical base for Korea to enter high-value industries. Rural areas remained stuck in poverty with low productivity compared to cities. The Simol movement, started in 1970, was a mental revolution beyond just fixing villages. The spirits of diligence, self-help, and cooperation planted can-do confidence in Koreans. As the urban-rural gap narrowed, rural purchasing power rose and the domestic market grew. This Korean modernization model later became a textbook for developing nations worldwide. Beyond economic growth, the movement strengthened social integration and national unity. Per capita income, which was in the dozens in the 60s, exploded into the thousands by the late 70s. An average annual GDP growth of 10% rewrote global economic history. Korea's territory expanded beyond the peninsula and into the entire global trade system. Growth was more than just numbers, it led to massive job creation and higher living standards. With increased national budget, social infrastructure like health and education improved. It was the beginning of a miracle. The only nation to go from aid recipient to donor. The core engine of growth during the Park era was the large conglomerate structure known as chaebol. The government funneled concentrated finance and benefits to specific companies to foster strategic industries. Companies roamed the world to open new markets to meet their given export targets. They became the frontline soldiers representing Korea's international competitiveness. However, this concentration of resources also caused a severe gap between large and small businesses. This model enabled ultra-fast growth but left behind structural challenges we still face. Until the 1960s, North Korea's economic power actually overwhelmed the South. The North remained stuck in self-sufficient heavy industry growth, relying on the communist bloc. In contrast, the South chose total participation in the global trade and division of labor. The strategy of technology transfer and market expansion began to pull the South ahead. Strategic choices utilizing the international order completely split the fates of the two systems. The Inter-Korean Economic War ended in an overwhelming victory for the South's open market choice. Behind the economic achievement lay the pain of strict control and the suspension of political freedom. The reality of this dazzling growth was built on the grueling sacrifices of workers and farmers. Structural inequality and crony capitalism are the institutional costs Korea is still paying. Nonetheless, this era was the decisive moment that transformed Korea into a manufacturing powerhouse. The debate between dictator and architect of modernization remains fierce today. The lights and shadows of the Park era are the most intense parts of South Korea's identity.